Oh, this is the podcast studios brought to you by Machine Inc. Welcome, everybody.
Jono, that does not sound official.
We're off to a great start. Look how happy you are.
It was so bad.
What?
I'm sorry, no offense.
It's okay. Everyone
But
else
it was
like
supposed to
impressed.
be a little funny. Or no? A little bit. That's the hard part about you. You never know if you're being funny or not.
Do I look funny?
No, you're very good looking.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I'm not going to eat that. Steak ketosis.
All right.
Yeah, no, but thank you. How is it, though? You know how oranges can be awful or amazing?
It's a medium. I give it a medium.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not dry. It's edible.
It's good. It looks white through these glasses. Like
Good.
almost translucent.
How does it feel being under the lights? Your condition?
You'd think, yeah. I don't know. I just started using them. So, no. It's, it definitely feels, using these glasses feels, more calm. It definitely feels more calm. That's the idea. I mean, part of it.
You think it's because of the glasses, like the red or the orange?
Well, you're filtering out the blue. And there's, it's a little, on your nervous system, the blue light is not so hot, apparently. I mean, I'm just trying them out, seeing how it works. I think it's nice. I like to dabble in all the different things.
Was this the first day you wore them?
This is my day 2.
You wore them yesterday?
Yeah.
At home? At work?
My kids were fighting over wanting to wear them. I was kind of surprised about. They both were like, I want some of those. Those feel nice. Like, all right. So I got two sets, one for each kid, and they want to wear them to school.
They're better for them because of the lights.
I mean, I guess we'll see. I don't know.
They're gonna get sent home.
No, I emailed the teacher, being like, the kids are gonna try using these, and they can use them as much as they want. It's not required. I think the school actually is like obligated to allow for it. So I would figure though some of the kids will be like, why are you wearing those?
You're gonna cause a huge problem. Everyone's gonna want these glasses now.
Yeah, right, dude. Nobody wants to look like Dave Asprey. Maybe Rick Rubin. If I look.
You look great.
Yeah. I've never really worn sunglasses in my life. I rarely wear them. And
I used to not like how they sit on my face. I used to have a real hard time. Like they felt funny. But this brings me to something specific. So
try these and see how they feel. These actually feel pretty comfortable for my face. How about you? You gotta like adjust the headphones a little so that you can actually feel them.
it feels better.
What feels better?
Life.
Are you mocking me?
No. But I don't know if it is easier on your eyes for sure.
Yeah. I
Like
mean, the
the
idea
space.
is that there's a lot of blue light in the unnatural light, particularly LEDs.
Yeah.
And like we all look at computers all day, that we're getting an imbalance of blue light compared to the
rest of
red.
spectrum.
So the idea is that we're balancing it out. And there's good science behind it as far as particularly sleep, but there's like it would go pretty there are theories that are a little more fringe.
Okay.
It goes beyond sleep.
You gotta clean off that grease. The Italian.
The Italian grease.
That's
So what do we talk
important.
about today? What do you got? What do we talk about?
Well, why did when did you become kind of hyper focused on these subtleties in your, say, physiology?
I've always been somebody that likes to um like just experiment on a lot.
Actually,
um
I got you.
I like experimenting with m- lots of different types of things, and historically it had been through the lens of skating where most of my experimentation was happening.
Okay.
But I'd say when I got my right after I got my hernia surgery, like 2.5 years ago, things really started to get weird, and
What do you mean?
lots of new pain, lots of well, like, I mean, the very first thing was after, like, the anesthesia affected me very deeply. I was having nightmares where I would literally wake up crying, which is
Afterwards?
bizarre for me. That is not normal.
Oh my God, I'm crying.
After the surgery. No, I mean, like, it's not like common that
Yeah.
I have nightmares, and it's like I hadn't woken up crying from a nightmare since I was a child. I'm like streaming with tears
Really?
after my hernia surgery. And I think I trace it back to the anesthesia. And I think that there's something about my theory is that my my skin tone, that I think it's called MC1R, right? The red haired tint,
Okay.
the pink skin. You're supposedly more,
Ginger?
yeah. I'm kind of I have a ginger beard, but blonde hair, but pink skin and freckles. But the there is a general there are theories that folks with MC1R,
Okay.
the gingers, I'll say gingers. There's theories that gingers are less sensitive to anesthesia, and you have to give them more.
Oh,
I don't know if in surgery I was given more or not, but I do have like I have this weird,
what is the
I have a,
nomenclature? What
I
did
think
you?
it's I think the gene is called MC1R.
Okay.
It's a gene, and it's a
Yeah.
recessive gene,
I
right?
got you.
It's associated with blue eyes, pink skin with freckles, red hair.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, there's since since this issue with my hernia surgery has happened, I've delved into learning more about it because I feel like a lot of the things that have been happening to me are at least partially associated with the MC1R gene.
Your genetics and how you specifically.
Yeah. But after the surgery, so I was saying about like anesthesia, that some people say that MC1R is less sensitive to anesthesia. For me, I feel like I have a kind of I think the term is a dichotomy. Like
Okay.
I have a relationship with pain where some things are particularly painful for me, like that other people don't find painful, but I
Okay.
have a very high threshold of pain for other things where other people find it,
Yeah.
where I'm not pain. I don't feel the pain, but other people do. And I can't really explain necessarily what is what, but like cold or hot, I think I have a higher tolerance, but like I'm very sensitive to sounds. I'm very sensitive to light. I'm finding out. I didn't really I haven't really realized how to describe the sensitivities in the past until really very recently. But anyways, I was having these nightmares,
Yeah.
which was startling, and then I had all these gut issues happen, and my joints started to feel particularly more painful. It kind of like went downhill, but then I tried to counter it with completely overhauling my lifestyle, every aspect of my diet, exercise. I started going to the gym. I stopped I stopped completely drinking alcohol down to 0 for years, or like
Okay.
a year or so.
Yeah. What did you
And it
notice?
was almost as if things that literally got worse doing all these like healthy things.
Tests.
It drove me. I guess I should say it drove me crazy, but it still kind of does drive me crazy. But I feel like I've answered a lot of the questions that made me wonder why on earth everything seemed to be getting worse. So I basically my motivation to change my lifestyle, I think is what you're asking,
Basically,
comes down to, I would say it comes down to being in pain. Particularly, the central thing was that I started to develop headaches that would not go away maybe 3, 4, 5 months after my hernia surgery. And I basically have been living, I was living with a headache for I think it was about 2 years now. Straight, constant headache.
Chronic.
Chronic is what the term is, yeah.
That is annoying.
Super annoying. But I mean, I think I answered your question.
Yeah, no. I had a similar situation. Like, I had a lot of pressure in my face, in my eyes. Like, I couldn't figure it out. What did you do? How did you change your diet? What did you find worked? What did you find didn't work?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, changing my diet seemed to get me lean, less fat. I mean, there's
You think
some
cutting
other,
out the alcohol was like a big help?
yeah.
But you didn't have like a problem drinking. You just cut it out like casual drinking because you thought
No,
you
I
felt
was
it.
drinking, I would say, on, a relatively routine basis, not, in the evenings occasionally. I would say like, yeah, I was drinking probably more than, in hindsight, I think, 0 is best, obviously. So it was more than 0.
Okay.
But it's kind of crazy because when I completely stopped drinking, that's when my gut issues started.
That is interesting. Yeah.
You would think you would get gut issues from drinking, and I think that stopping actually, like, my body was used to that in my microbiome, or whatever, your gut microbiome, and I think stopping is actually somehow threw it out of whack. I think that a lot, like everything in your body, your body creates kind of a center point and like an equilibrium, and I think part of my equilibrium in my gut included that amount of alcohol that I was drinking. So taking it out, I started to, I had what do you call it, where you're you go back and forth between loose and not.
Oops.
Yeah.
So from not drinking, then it started messing you up. You started spraying.
Both, yeah. Constipation, spraying, oscillating.
Really?
Irritable bowel syndrome. Yeah, I was reading books about, gut microbiome. I was all into that for a long time.
What did you think it was? How did you, what did you do to fix that?
So, I,
Change your whole diet altogether?
yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of there it is. So I first started, I changed everything in my diet, reducing gluten again, which I had done a lot. I tried eating more fiber, higher protein, and it didn't seem to do much. A lot of probiotics, the fiber being the prebiotics, the kimchi and sauerkraut probiotics. It was actually almost seemingly making it worse. I was taking probiotic pills and whatnot. And I went to get a colonoscopy, or I went to like a gastroenterologist
Okay.
a few times in there, and I kind of started to insist that maybe I should just get a colonoscopy, see if there's something going on.
Yeah.
And I got I did the colonoscopy prep, and so you empty out for that. I did the colonoscopy, and because of my fear of anesthesia at that point, I actually did the colonoscopy without anesthesia.
Really?
I was awake, and they had it on a screen just like this, and I'm laying down while they're
Yeah.
checking it out. So it's pretty rare you get to see the inside of your colon live, But it was painful. It was funny when I walked in on the day of to do the colonoscopy. I walked in alone, and she was like, "Do you have your ride with you?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't have a ride." And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. You have to have a ride to do the colonoscopy." And I said, "I don't. I don't need the ride." It's like, "I'm sorry. Everyone undergoing anesthesia needs a ride." And I said, "Well, I'm not doing the anesthesia." And she goes, "You're not. You're." And I said, "I'm not doing the anesthesia." And she goes, "Judy, this man says he's not doing the anesthesia." And Judy comes over and goes, "Yeah, this is the person that's not doing the anesthesia. Yeah, you don't need a ride, sir. You're fine." And she goes, "Do we do that?"
You gotta pay extra if you don't get the anesthesia.
Yeah.
Jeez.
The painful, I can tell you, I know like the spot now that's particularly painful in the gut for the scope. It's an experience. Anyway, it was really painful, but again, that would be an experience. Like, I would say that the pain wasn't maybe as bad as for me, given that I have a higher pain tolerance in this type of scenario.
Yeah.
For most people. After I got the colonoscopy, I was cleaned out, and I started. I really, you know what? I misspoke earlier. I was saying I was using kimchi and sauerkraut.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Okay.
Before the colonoscopy. After I was.
Okay.
Right after the colonoscopy, I went heavy in. I had discovered a new grocery store nearby, and they had all this various kimchi, and I thought I'd try kimchi. And I really cleaned up my diet even more after that. I went like very, very low carb, and I added a lot of kimchi. And after that point, I was within like 2-3 weeks, everything was great with my gut.
You felt good
Since then, I've been great. Yeah. So I don't know. It's like a reset. The way that I think of it in my mind is like, maybe, you look at the gut like a garden, and I had a lot of weeds, and I was putting fertilizer. I was doing some. I was doing I was not doing kimchi for the probiotics.
Okay.
I was doing pill. I was like pill form probiotic that you would buy for lots of money.
Okay.
And I was convinced after a while, I'm like, these things may be making it worse. And I think that they were. My perspective of it now, which is completely anecdotal, is when my gut was like a garden that had lots of weeds, and the probiotics was just adding more fertilizer for the weeds to grow more.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have like scientific reason to believe that, but that's my perspective right now.
Yeah.
And once I burned the garden down by emptying out, and I took antibiotics or something because of the colonoscopy, which I think further burned it down.
Yep.
So basically, I like cut all the weeds by not eating and emptying, and then I burned the ground with the antibiotics. And then when I came back, I used fresh fertilizer, very clean new seeds, and that was like the magic for the gut problem. But that did not solve the headache. That did not solve the building nerve pain that I had started feeling.
Okay.
So the the situation that I've been going through since this colonoscopy, the best way for me to describe it would be that I've been incrementally experiencing heightened systemic nerve sensitivity. I think the term would be like systemic nerve hypersensitivity.
Okay.
So a lot of people are like, what do you mean? Like, what is that?
Is it
and
pain?
I think the way that I would describe it is like I've been developing like a numbness to very bad pain, like very acute, sharp pain, but low level background pain has somehow become very loud. Like you're saying you have tinnitus. It's almost like tinnitus, except with my nerves. So I had been, I learn about nerve flossing, learning about diaphragmatic breathing, desensitize, dabbling with exercising more cardio, blood flow is better for nerves, maybe exercising less because maybe I'm doing too much. People would be like, Rory always tells me, like, you're doing too much. Like, maybe you should just do nothing. Like, maybe that's true. And so I do nothing. And it's like, no, it gets worse when I do nothing, for sure. For sure it gets worse.
Is all your nerve pain like muscular, skeletal, or is it just like from nothing? Is it based on how you
like
move?
Movement?
Yeah, is it all movement based, or do you have like nerve pain?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the worst pain happens throughout the night. It had been happening throughout the night. That's not to say all the pain is gone or something, but if blood is moving through my body, it would alleviate some degree of pain. And so as my blood flow reduces into the evening and sleeping, I would feel it was not joint pain. It was just like general pain that should not be in some random spot in my arm, like aching, throbbing. And then I'd be like, wait, no, maybe that's just in my mind. It's not actually there. I could touch it and be like, yeah, there's no pain there. And then it would kind of vanish in a way.
Yeah. So it's not
like maybe this was like an autoimmune disorder. So I'm getting like throughout this whole period, I'm getting like lots of blood tests. I become like very in touch with, I just got another blood test. I just finished one.
You were tracking your glucose.
Yeah, I thought like maybe, okay, so glucose is, some people believe that the root of all sickness is insulin resistance, right? You've heard this theory?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like Ben Bickman is somebody who I had been and still follow quite a bit. Brilliant guy. And I think he's quite right on nearly everything I hear from him. I have kind of like a lateral view of some of it that maybe I'll mention in a second. But yeah, I was wearing a continuous glucose monitor to try to make sure that I didn't have insulin resistance, which was then somehow generating systemic inflammation. I'm trying to keep my insulin very low. And so I'm very, very diet focused, tracking, doing lots of tracking, getting very familiar with macros and micronutrients. And my headaches are getting worse. Like worse. I'm getting leaner, I look better. I got like before and after photos that look fantastic, but like my nerve pain is getting worse. My headaches way worse. Like, dude, I was having, it's become to it has gotten to the point where, every 30 seconds, when I'm working, I have my brain is brought over to there. I have to constantly bring my brain back, away from feeling like, no, you're in pain.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I got to work. I have to work,
But you
and then it's like, okay, I'm
second.
focusing on work. And then it's like, I swear I got ADHD, you know, like
Well,
I
it
can't
kind of
stay
hurts.
focused.
Staring at that screen for a long time could kind of hurt, and if you don't notice it, it's like could ache. Like, your eyes are darting around a screen for, I mean,
Yeah.
quite a while, and I'm sure that can't help.
Well, I should say like my work situation. So I work for I'm an independent contractor for a clothing brand. I'm technically self-employed, but I only work for one brand, and I sell clothing to retail stores. Historically, I drive a lot. Every single day, I'm driving between stores. But since COVID, a little bit more work from the office. Well, a lot more work from the office. I'm still routinely visiting stores, but just not as much. So it's more screen time, more computer time. So I'm like, oh man, maybe my pain is from sitting too much, And so I get a standing desk. And then it's like, oh, I'm standing a lot, It's like painful to stand. And then I realize oh, maybe I should sit, oh no, I have to balance it. And then it's like, oh, I'm not getting enough blood flow, so I get an under the desk treadmill, right?
You're
And
like
so
that
I'm
dude with
like
the book.
walking. I'm like walking at my desk while working,
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh no,
That's how you do it.
It's core activation, and then I'm doing all these different exercises while working, and it's like nothing is helping my nerve pain, dude. It's literally making it worse. And if I do nothing, it's way worse. And so, but I always think,
I feel like there's no hope.
I always think, here's the thing. I would tell my wife like, oh no, I know what it is. I need a standing desk. When I get a standing desk, that's going to be my solution. Or like when I was like the insulin resistance theory,
Yeah.
I told my wife, I'm getting a continuous glucose monitor. This has got to be the answer. I'm going to get my insulin in check,
Yeah.
every step. Like my wife like rolls her eyes. She sees these glasses that I'm wearing right now. And like, she's been cool about it, about how wild
Yeah. You go from one to the next.
The pain is awful that I've been experiencing, but it's fun to like try all these things. It's really making life interesting. The biggest blessing through all of this is I've flipped a switch that allows for me to enjoy effort.
Yeah.
Particularly things like exercise related effort, right? Or like just challenge, difficulty. Like I now can say I am that. Like it's like people say it's the holy grail, right?
You told me this morning, you're like, oh, I'm going to eat sardines and I'm going to get in this cold bath. And then when I woke up, I was like, what am I going to eat? Now I was like, I ate an avocado to like try to,
why not?
Try to be a part of, a movement in myself and you. No, but
it's movement. It's not about being a part of some social group.
It's motivating though. It is when people are like they have a lot of conviction, even if it's just for fun. It's inspiring because why not? I mean, for me, I have similar situations. I think probably most people do as they get older, and like finding a result that works is like extremely gratifying. Because like the day that you finally don't have a headache, you feel like like you got your life back, like you're on top of the world, right?
Well, that's a good segue to, I'm trying all these different things and so I to try to reduce my headaches. All the things I mentioned, I'm thinking, I've tried all of these, which I have already mentioned, plus micromanaging all of my electrolytes up and down, and I just modulate just that one variable, or I change how much sleep I'm getting, or maybe I'm not going to sleep. I have to go sleep at the same time as the sun, and then it goes down and wake up with the sun,
Yeah.
And or no, it's my posture. It's all about my posture. It's got to be that I'm not something in my neck, or I'm not activating my core enough, and so then I go learning all about, like we were talking earlier, the TVA.
Yeah.
Activating TVA, which we should definitely get back to.
Okay.
But like 3 weeks ago, one of the next brilliant idea I have that'll get rid of my headache was maybe it's my headphones. I'm gonna
Oh,
stop.
yeah.
I'm gonna
You're
stop wearing my headphones. I have Apple AirPods, and I don't. I'm on the phone all day.
But why was it your headphones? Why did you think it was your headphones?
I think it's everything. Why
All right.
the headphones? I don't know. It's around me. It's always in my ears. I use the headphones a lot.
Yeah.
When I go work out, I got my headphones in. If I'm doing cardio, I'm headphones. Lifting, headphones. Talking to my customers, headphones.
Yeah.
But in-ear headphones, right?
Yeah.
Not over the ear. Sometimes over the ear, but usually
In-ear.
AirPods, because the AirPods have good, where you can kind of hear around
Yeah.
you.
The
What is it
pass
called?
through.
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah. Spatial audio, or I don't know. That's the one where you turn your head. Whatever. They have like all the, when you first get Apple AirPods, you're like, oh, this is the best, man. I can't believe I haven't had these.
Yeah.
But I stopped wearing my AirPods, and I actually just cut out all headphones for a day.
Okay.
And I went to sleep that night,
Mhm.
and I was like, that makes a little less, actually. But, that happens.
Yeah.
And then throughout the night, usually it builds and builds, and by the morning, it's like the worst. It's very awful. In the morning, my headache was like, not that bad. So the next day, I'm like, no headphones. And my headache went down throughout the day. And it's very rare I get a day with no headache. Very rare. And the headache kept going down. By the second day, by the evening, I had like what almost felt like no headache. In hindsight, it's still there, background. But on that day, I'm like, it was so different that it felt like it was gone,
Yeah. You found the solution.
And so then, so since then, 3 weeks ago, I completely cut out all headphone use except for today. So I'm like,
Tonight.
oh my God. Yeah. But so
Tonight you're gonna go home and
this
you're
is
gonna have
corded.
a headache.
This is corded though. So my headaches went down significantly just stopping using headphones. But I bought other types of headphones since then that are corded,
Mm-hmm.
and they're called air tube headphones. Have you heard of this?
Not really.
So the air tube headphones has the speakers actually down the wire. It's like down here,
Okay.
and it transmits the sound up in here through the tube. So the idea is that like maybe it's better for your eardrum to have the audio source further away. I don't know. Maybe. I actually rarely use them, so I still am not certain. What I am certain of is the majority of my headache came from using Apple AirPods.
You think so?
100%.
It was that bad? Have you noticed that
there
much?
is no I have no doubt whatsoever. For me, Apple AirPods were causing something in my body to result in a headache. It could be from the speaker being close to my eardrum, in ear,
Yeah.
right? Or even over ear, or it could have been from the Bluetooth. Now, that's where you get a little crazy,
Little woo-woo.
believing it could be Bluetooth associated. And I've always kind of rolled my eyes at folks who are, that believe that EMFs are going to give them cancer. They're the root of all evil. You know those folks, the folks that wear the orange glasses. But I cannot shake the fact that my headache went down drastically from stopping the AirPods. And I'm like, okay, maybe it was Bluetooth. Maybe. Let me see what happens. And if it's Bluetooth, it's inside of your ears. It's very close to your brain. So that's like very high level, right?
Yeah.
The next high level would be like having a cell phone on your ear, like holding it, right?
Right.
I think. I could be wrong in those levels.
Which is more of a...
My understanding is, and it could be wrong, it's like number 1 level EMF. Oh my gosh, I don't look, I'm not some psycho EMF guy, but let's just have the discussion.
You mean you have a tinfoil hat?
Right.
That's
I don't have a tinfoil hat, but EMFs, like they're for real, like they exist. And I do have a perspective that there could be something there. I think we need to have an open mind and be at the very least careful. And so I think that my understanding is the level, the EMF interference or whatever you call it, the level of frequency that is experienced in the body from like low to high would be like highest is Bluetooth inside of your ear. Second would be like Bluetooth on your head or a cell phone on your head. Third is going to be like a cell phone in your pocket.
Okay.
And then from there, it'd be like Wi-Fi router in the same room that you're in. Fourth would be like the Wi-Fi on your phone that is on the desk, or like the Wi-Fi running on your computer. Or like, and then like low level would be like Bluetooth on your keyboard and on your mouse.
Okay.
Because it's further away, it's not as strong. Bluetooth is kind of short. Wi-Fi goes further, right? I don't know. There's all different other types of EMFs you could talk about, but those are like primary. And I'm like looking into like, I'm like, well, let me look at the EMFs. Maybe there's a little something here, you know? And then I'm like looking into it, and I'm like sitting in my office on my walking treadmill, you know, with my stand-up desk, the healthy guy, and I'm like looking around. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, there's like mad EMF. There's like 15 sources. I got a Bluetooth keyboard, a Bluetooth mouse. I got Wi-Fi on my computer. I have an iPad next to me, Wi-Fi running. I got my cell phone running the cell signal and the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth, and the Wi-Fi's on my computer with Bluetooth. It's like, okay, all right, look. There's a lot of EMFs happening.
Yeah.
You could, no one would disagree that there's a lot there.
Yeah, there are for sure.
There's
a lot in this room. There's tons in this room.
So much.
There's so much Wi-Fi in this room.
We'll see how I feel. So, and also I'm researching the MC1R gene, and it's pretty clear that folks with my gene type, this redhead gene, we have certain sensitivities that other people don't. For example, to the sun, right? You burn easier.
Yeah.
I have crazy skin sensitivity in general to poison ivy. I need to get hospitalized almost if I get poison ivy.
And that's common for
MC1R, yeah.
MC1R.
Redhead.
No, I'll call it MC1R. It sounds better.
It sounds cooler.
Yeah, like you're one of Elon Musk's children or
whatever. There's there's all the different gene type numbers or something, I think. So there's something there. And then I start to learn about like, okay, wait, so maybe I do have like is there maybe an association between EMF and MC1R? And there actually is. Well, they believe that there could be. And that's where you start to get a little fringy. Like right here is the fringe part. It's not fringe that there's sensitivity of folks like me, this ultra white boy, okay? Peak white, albino almost white.
Paper.
Yeah, no, it's actually pink though. It's not even white. It's like I'm just pink.
You're spotted.
I'm like a pink leopard.
We're all snowflakes. Unique unto ourselves.
Dare you call me a snowflake? But yeah, so I converted like a week ago my office to the tinfoil hat office. I swear I'm not tinfoil.
Wait, is that the picture? So
yeah, hold on, I'll get there. Wait.
I wish I had it.
You could put it up. Don't put that up. Don't do that.
All right.
So my everything now is Ethernet, and I can turn on. Well, I do have the lowest level EMF was the Bluetooth. I still have those running on my keyboard and my mouse. I love the keyboard and mouse and its lowest level, so I'm leaving that one for now. But basically, everything is hardwired as of like a week ago. Now I'm like these carnivore, like crazy grounding.
Did you start grounding?
Okay, so I converted my office about a week ago.
Yeah.
And again, I swear, for sure anecdotally,
Mhm.
for me,
Mhm.
my headache and just general sense of calm has gone down. My head, that's the thing I know for sure. My headache is definitely lower. So before I would say it went down half by stopping the headphones, and now it's down another 40% or something. And I have almost zero headache at this point.
So all the exercise, all the dietary
Didn't
changes,
do nothing.
all the years, the raw colonoscopy that you watched. That's impressive. I'm gonna
I never
say,
told you about that.
I know that is
Really?
that's I like that you described it as an experience too, because it is. I'm sure it is. I haven't had one, but I'm told like it probably eventually it's a good thing to do at a certain point.
A raw one?
I'm not about a raw one.
Do it raw.
I'll tell you if your sensitivity to pain is equal to mine.
Yeah.
I'll go
It's
in.
not painful at all until there's a corner that they'll tell you when you're doing it raw, they'll tell you about the corner. There's a corner they have to take, and it's like, all right, this is going to be the painful part. That was tough.
I had to do something one time where they had to do something, in the coolie.
Oh.
And so like I was like uncomfortable, and sometimes I try to make jokes when I'm uncomfortable to break the tension.
Mhm.
And so the doctor's like, all right, like lean over, and there's like his nurse's assistant, and I'm like, oh, I guess it must be Christmas. And she was like, God, she goes, God. And then he's like, well, it's more like tax season. All right, he's fucking sticking this thing in my head. But anyways,
Yeah, it wasn't any of those. I mean, that's not to say blood flow didn't alleviate the pain. It's like that's definitely
I'm sure
number one pain alleviation acute for me is blood flow. Acute. Blood flow definitely reduces nerve pain, period.
what do you think about because obviously most of this stuff, you want to stay healthy, you have pain, but you also want to be able to stay very physically active. Like you're a very physically active and capable person, athlete. You're athletic. You're definitely an athlete, right? Like,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I hope to be, I hope to be looked at that way. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you are very
Like a creative athlete.
creative.
You got to be careful with the athlete. All right. kind of dumb down.
You use it in the wrong way.
Yeah.
So, but how has that changed? All right, you still got the headaches, but doing all this other stuff, how has it helped your athleticism? Like, has your diet, your strength, how is changing this at all helped you perform? Let's say
with skating.
with skating, yeah.
I mean, I think it's helping. I think the thing that helps get better at skating the most effective way to get better at skating is to skate more. It's to just skate. And through this whole journey, you say, or what I could say,
yeah,
I haven't been able to skate as much as I really would like to, but with my headaches now in the last few weeks so reduced, and my nerve hypersensitivity is generally lower.
Mm-hmm.
I should be able to skate a little bit more routinely. Yeah, I can jump higher now skating, which is very important to me. Being able to jump high is one of the most useful tools in skating. I have some better core strength, I would say, in skating, and I think that my style in general is marginally getting a little better over time, as opposed to worse due to age. I don't know. I guess it's to the eye of the beholder on that one.
Yeah,
that's the most important to me. Is just is the aesthetics of it. The technicality and athletic part of it is nice. For like whatever progression, where it's like measurable progression. You can do that. You can see that through the athleticism of it.
yeah.
But I think the aesthetic of it, since it's so subjective. It's harder to measure if you're looking better skating. I think I am.
That's interesting. Aesthetically, I've never thought about it that way.
What?
Skating.
You got to be kidding me.
I've never
That's all that
considered
it's
it.
about.
I mean, I've considered many things. I think that you could consider the world from the view of an aesthetic perspective only.
How do you are not telling the truth.
What
Why
do you
was
mean?
Dan Bowen the best skater from Chicago of all time?
This was a purely aesthetic.
He looked incredible. The stuff when you measure the best, imagine if Michael Jordan did everything that he did, but he looked awful. Dude, the people would not have liked him nearly as much. He looked aesthetically amazing.
You got to look pretty doing it.
You got to look good. Not that I'm not saying I'm, the pinnacle of that. I think it's important to be aware and strive for, to look good doing whatever you do.
Yeah.
And it's not about how you look to others necessarily. I think that there's beauty, there's inherent beauty. There's inherent beauty that is not really subjective, where a flower is beautiful, and I think the flower can, feel good about having that beauty in its the flower's health, right?
Okay.
So like in a way, like skating, looking good skating is really a signal of good health, right?
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think so. And going like way on another direction, like I feel like the better you feel innately, the better results come from you. Like if you're feeling great, right, and you're in good spirits and you've been exercising and you have a good microbiome, I think kind of like automatically, as just a reflection of like you and what you're doing, things are more so aesthetically pleasing. I think it might be part of like the fundamental nature of all things to want to be aesthetically pleasing, now that you say it like that, because we all are beautiful snowflakes. Oh, like we all like to express our uniqueness.
Yeah.
I do.
It's cute.
So you're an independent contractor for a clothing company.
Mm-hmm.
You still travel a lot?
A bit. I should probably travel a little more than I do, but
Why should you
I like
travel?
being at home too. Everybody does, but it's really hard to maintain good health while traveling. It's very hard.
Yeah. Well, controlling your diet is extremely difficult as it is.
I think that's one of the easiest things to do while traveling.
Diet?
Controlling the diet of all the
Everything's
things.
trash.
Yeah, you just you go to the same grocery stores you go to at home, and if you don't meal prep, do you? Somebody that doesn't meal prep would say something like that.
Yeah, I don't meal prep.
Yeah, you just got to get on your meal prep game. 'Cause meal prep, you go to a Whole Foods or whatever, not that Whole Foods is healthy or something, but you go wherever, you buy all the food you need. You try to stay in a place that you can cook, ideally, if you could, or you just get like the salad bar or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You just bring your to-go containers with you on the flight or whatever. It's a little annoying to bring glass, but you can also use paper. Like you can find you can just get the Whole Foods, or any salad bar container.
You're saying that because you don't want to use the plastic.
I mean, ideally, why would you try to use plastic?
Yeah.
There's no, I just don't, it's, some ways it's easy to avoid plastic, and it's pretty clear that it's
clear.
It's clear that it's not good for you.
Yeah.
Right? It's not that you don't, in many ways you can avoid plastics in a lot of the major ways pretty easily.
Yeah.
Not in the air, obviously, but.
So you didn't notice anything in your health with gluten specifically that didn't change you a lot? Because I found like that was such a
To me,
it wasn't
that's like
gluten. It
low
was
level. It's low level health to be focused on gluten. It's a sign that you have something more foundationally wrong.
yeah. That's thanks. That's great to know.
It's
No,
not like a lot of people have a gluten sensitivity and they're like, oh, the problem is gluten. It's like, well,
yeah,
like you should be able to eat gluten. You got to, and I don't think that everybody simultaneously became gluten intolerant in their genetics. It's like,
but do you think it has to do with maybe like the glyphosate and all that sort of stuff that's getting
for
into the
sure.
because
Yeah.
like if I
But you
like
got glyphosate in everything. If it's a, I mean, then you can't eat vegetables either, right? There's glyphosate in everything.
yeah
There's like no avoiding it.
yeah I think for whatever reason in certain manufactured things like breads and
Highly processed stuff. You're
highly
talking about.
processed
Yeah.
stuff, yeah, and those tend to be sugars and things that have
You have a gluten sensitivity still, right? Right now.
I don't know. I would say it's refined carbohydrates and refined sugars before I'd say it's gluten. But
I
yeah,
would, my suggestion to you, it's tinfoil hattie. Okay. It just
it-
is.
let's put them on.
My perspective right now, which will probably be different in 2 weeks. Who knows?
Sure.
But
Well, for now, we'll go
But
all in.
this is to me. I think that this is pretty foundational,
Yeah.
and it's relatively recent, But the way I look at health right now is the foundation is not necessarily diet and exercise. It's below that. The foundation is below what you eat and how much you move. Those are secondary to. Uh, I mean this.
Okay.
I do believe this to be true. They're secondary to light. We know without light everything falls apart.
Well, yeah.
So light is more foundational.
Okay. Yeah.
And laterally to that, kind of
Water.
like I mean, there's people that talk about this as a three-legged stool: light, water, good water, and enough. And then the third is this one's a little bit more, even more out there. It would be magnetism. So
I like
I'm
that.
open to the idea that I'm not saying that it's necessarily foundational to health to ground, but I don't see if everything in the body, all these processes are so tied to the mechanism of magnetism and how the everything is tied to that, particularly through
But what do you
water.
mean magnetism?
Um, the almost all the chemical processes are the way that they happen is through magnetism of like electrons and protons.
Okay.
I don't know. Look, I'm like, this is not my field.
I know.
I shouldn't on a podcast. I barely should talk about this because
Yeah.
it's definitely something I'm not well versed on.
But it's the three legs that you're talking about.
Yeah, you need to have like an outlet needs a positive, a negative charge, and be grounded, right?
Yep.
So your body, like we know your body needs that too. Like that's not like too far out there. But the question is like, do you actually need to stand on the earth without shoes on, and hug trees? Like probably not. Like obviously everybody's walking around fine, but everybody is very overweight.
There's a lot
Everybody
of
there's chronic diseases everywhere, right?
Yep.
And so I think right now we're in a phase where we're very peak level focused on diet and exercise as a society.
Which is
but
great.
I do believe that those are extremely important, but without those are very powerful levers, but what moves those levers are light, magnetism, and magnetism. So light, water, and magnetism.
Yes. No.
I think that I don't know if the word magnetism is the right word to use, but I think so. So what I'm saying is like I think like one of the reasons I'm wearing these is to try the theory that light's important. and that light hygiene is important. Why not? I've tried all this other hygiene,
Right.
and if the body is as light passes into your body, through your body, right? All the cells in your body are affected by light. They just are.
Yeah.
That's how it is. And I think and we do kind of know that, but I don't think that's really sunk in to a lot of science.
Metaphysics,
Yeah.
metaphysical
The
biology.
term what I'm talking about is like, it's kind of an old idea, but a new term, quantum biology.
Quantum biology.
It sounds so like nerdy to say, but like if you want to Google what I'm talking about, the whole perspective, you would Google quantum biology, and you're going to find there's like very specific people that are, leading this realm, and some of them are pretty obnoxious, to be honest. Most of them are.
They're leading the realm of quantum biology.
That doesn't negate that. That's something that's very important to me, is to not, just because a person is obnoxious or whatever, I don't discount their theories. So if you look into quantum biology,
Yeah.
please understand, I'm aware that these folks are obnoxious, but you need to look into really what they're saying. What happened there?
The TV was talking to us. Oh, I really like that it put on like a screensaver or something. I really like that you say the basis before diet and exercise is light and water and then magnetism, which I really like that. Like, I think for a while, I did find myself, like, for no reason that I can understand, like waking up extremely early and like just this strong desire to be like outside when the sun was like barely coming up and watching it come up and listening to the birds, just kind of like being a part of everything that is and feeling good about that. Like, just that. And obviously you need light and it gives you things. But I think it does kind of like, well, you were talking about the like energizing your water with sunlight.
I
Like,
know, dude. This is this is charged water. But I do. Why not?
So you put that out in the sun this morning to get some sunlight
the
on it.
infrared light. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So
infrared light, like they're fine. We're finding truly infrared light is actually pretty powerful. Powerful. Why would it not be powerful to water?
I mean, it is the reason for all things, as far as we can tell.
What, light? Yeah.
Which it's funny because it's like it's so easy to abstract the sun into like this cartoon with sunglasses and 2 scoops of raisins.
Yeah.
But like the reality of it is, like, whatever it is, the amount of energy that it puts out is so great you can't even look at it. And like however that's understood, I think is like just what people make up, because how can we understand? And it is very strange. Like it's something that, it's part of your day. It seems normal. It's the sun. What are you talking about? It's tinfoil hat type of woo-woo. But no one's going to say waking up with the sun is a terrible way to start your day. You're going to have a horrible morning. No, like,
Yeah.
you feel connected in a way that no matter how much I talk about nothing, it can't be explained. And I think it's good to say that, because I think people should get outside in the morning as early as they can and be a part of what they actually are, which is nature, and less abstract, which I find myself always kind of struggling with.
I think the way we've talked about light for the use of light for health is been it's not been talked about in a way that has explained that light, it's not just good to go outside in the morning and get sunlight. Like, you should do that, you'll be happy. It's like, the way that I perceive it at this time is that it's not only good, it's actually necessity. Like, it's actually absolutely there is no, you cannot go without it. And if you do, it would be as if you are you're eating pizza all day long.
It's bad for you. Well, it's like if you put a plant inside it or put it in the basement, right? I mean,
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, there are differences obviously between mammals and plants, but I think there's a lot of similarities. And I was hearing that like mitochondria, or
I like this.
I think
I
it's
like where this is going.
I I forgot what it is. There's a chloroplast, or like the molecule, the molecule. I should talk about
Chlorophyll?
this. Yeah.
Chlorophyll.
No, there's a similarity between chlorophyll and there's a molecule in the human in mammals.
Oh, that's
I
similar.
want to say it's something involved with your mitochondria, but I forgot what it. I shouldn't talk about the science of this stuff.
Do you wanna
It's
look up
fascinating to me.
chlorophyll and mitochondria.
It's gonna take a minute. You're gonna have to. It's the shape of it is very similar. It's the transporter. Hang on.
Both organelles are surrounded by a double membrane with an outer and inner membrane and an intermembrane.
Hemoglobin. So if you Google the shape of chlorophyll and hemoglobin, they're basically exactly the same shape, and the difference is in mammals it's iron, and chlorophyll it's magnesium. It's interesting. This is where you get into like where the folks in quantum biology start to harp on this type of stuff.
Ah,
It's the same shape. Just go to images. If you hit images, yeah. So there, the second one where it says patch, click on that. It's the same exact shape. So the significance of that is that chlorophyll provides the energy. It's the energy transport, I believe, for plants, and hemoglobin is the transporter for mammals. I think is how it works. I shouldn't really talk about the science of this because I'm going to say a lot of stuff that's wrong.
no, that's this. I mean, everything I'm saying is probably wrong, but
yeah. I mean, that's just like, it's like a fascinating fact.
yeah, it's interesting for sure.
It
They're
shows
identical.
That, it shows that nature has like kind of figured it out, you know? I guess you could say it in that way, or you could say God.
Sure. It's magnesium is at the center.
Yeah, magnesium for plants, iron for blood.
So magnesium basically carries the chlorophyll. So the hemoglobin.
Magnesium it creates the center point of the structure as opposed to iron.
So we are a lot like plants.
This would be like one of the proofs that sunlight is at the center of our physiology or our life. Like for folks that can walk around or move instead of just be planted in the ground.
Considering that, I think it's kind of strange that if we know that, right? I'm going to go back into the sun. There's like all these religions, and like none of them, like from my understanding, like really are based around the sun.
None of them are based around the sun?
Yeah, like there's no religion where it's like, all right, let's go wake up, pray to the sun.
I thought that most religions look at the sun as being the Egyptians, the
current religions? Like, I mean, in today's
the past,
life,
the whole Egyptian culture was based on the sun. I think the god was called Ra. Right?
Yeah, no, that's
and
I get it.
In all religions, light is God.
Right.
I don't think there's any religion that says otherwise.
So the point I'm trying to get to is that pretty specifically, now it's like an abstract thing. Light is God and this and that. But like light is there in the morning. Like why does it seem okay, yeah, the Egyptians did it. But why is there not like a cult like, Christianity or something, where you wake up in the morning intentionally and pray to the sun, because the sun is the most obvious thing that's giving you everything that you have.
Isn't this what the Sphinx is? The
Yeah,
Sphinx
but
is
that's
pointing towards the morning sun.
they're still trying to figure out why they got columns underneath the pyramid. That's like the biggest news in the universe right now. But the fundamental basis of what's important, I feel like, is so obvious, and it seems so crazy. I feel like, or would be considered crazy to do something like that. And I just feel like it shouldn't be. I feel like it should be a little more.
Maybe you try it. Some people can try it. I think I don't think anybody's ever said that getting morning sunlight has been harmful to them. So what I'm trying to do right now is I've always avoided the sun for my whole life
Because you were told to.
I've covered up my body.
Yeah.
Particularly, I should above everyone else because of my skin tone, And so I've always covered up, tons of sunblock, hats all the time. And I'll say I discovered, and because I believe this is pretty well established at this point, it's kind of a little fringy, but it's pretty true. I think we understand it to be quite true that infrared light, red light in general, particularly in the morning, can kind of prep your body for receiving UV light later in the day. And someone like me who burns extremely easily can kind of mitigate that UV damage. Everyone can, but particularly I can mitigate that and receive that UV light in a slightly healthier way, or maybe profoundly healthier. I don't know. If I get more morning sunlight. And then in the evening, getting the sunlight would be for the purposes of winding down, triggering your melatonin. But did you know melatonin is actually created in the morning in your eye?
I did not know that.
Crazy. Yeah.
Well, then how are you
going to believe? Could be fact checked, but yeah.
Melatonin is created in the morning in your eyes.
Yeah. So you fact check it.
You got it. So it's
You got to hit all, not images.
no, but it's definitely showing sunlight going into your eyes.
Melatonin is first synthesized in the eye in the morning, so
Melatonin
it is not released until the night.
Melatonin is produced in the pineal gland.
Pineal, yeah.
Pineal?
I think most people pronounce it pineal.
I like to say pineal because it sounds like pinnacle.
Yeah.
But
the answer is yes, though. So look, the answer is that it is. Melatonin is first. Go ahead.
No, I was just mumbling. The production of melatonin is regulated by the body's circadian rhythm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a lot of people like supplement melatonin, which is absolutely crazy.
Because then you're like crutching yourself to not produce it.
Just get morning sunlight.
Just wake up.
Get your child. If you think your child can't go to sleep, it's like my kids. They go to sleep. They're out, and we've always for years we've been routine about getting morning sunlight.
Yeah.
So it's not just recently that I've been
doing.
I'm a little bit more gung ho about it now after I'm learning about the significance of the biology behind it. But yeah, my kids have no issue falling asleep.
Did you notice when you started to just live like a cleaner lifestyle, like a heightened sense of awareness? Did you find yourself to be happier? Did you find?
I find more I find more natural gratitude. But I'm leaning into more difficulty at the same time. So I'm like more acute because of it. When you're leaning into difficult situations, I think your body is just designed to be more aware and that's part of it. Well, yeah. So what was your question exactly? Sorry.
Exactly. I don't know if we're gonna get it exactly.
Yeah.
No, like,
But
did you find that through doing the exercise, you had a more heightened like sense of awareness? Did you feel better? Did you have more appreciation in yourself? Because it's like it's so subtle, the things that make us feel good. And
I think
it's
everybody would answer that yes. And I think everybody knows that the answer to that is yes.
but
You
it,
know, but
yeah,
but
that's true.
it's
I just feel
yeah.
like it's so subtle, like the difference in like stress or like contentment. Obviously they can be very far ends of the spectrum. But I think like those subtle things that like if you start exercising, I feel like it makes you inclined to search for the next thing that's going to keep you on a trajectory of like a good feeling in yourself. And I like everything that we eat, it suppresses us so much that everything we eat that's bad for us, that's available, that we've been fed our whole lives, or I have, because it's just what you eat, what you do, and my own choices. Like it totally suppresses all of your senses, like digestion, nervous system, inflammation, and then like even like a subtle thing like a diet. I'm like now at a certain age, and I don't know if it's because I'm a certain age, I'm aware of it, but I'm like, oh wow, this like I feel like good. Like it's very important for me to try to feel good because I feel like I have unknowingly felt bad for so long. And I think like some people have unknowingly felt bad like for very long, like most of their lives. And then when they make these changes, they like start to experience like happiness in a real way for the first time. And it's like mind blowing.
That happened with me with my headache, where after that 1 or 2 days of removing the AirPods, I felt like my headache was zero. But then I realized, like, wait, actually, my headache is way deeper than I thought. And so I thought it went down to zero and it stayed where it was, but then I realized there was more to remove because I haven't felt zero in so long. So I think that's kind of what you mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I think though, yeah, it can go both directions. On you can start to you can move into unhealthiness, and it could kind of progress in both ways. It can
Yeah,
snowball both directions.
for sure. I think too, like it's nice having people around like yourself, Colin, and other people that like they care or like I mean obviously everyone cares, but the to make change, it's such a subtle thing. Like for instance, like we went skating, you know, and I haven't skated that much and I was really happy to go out with you. And like and I'm like trying to do something and I just can't figure it out, you know, because it's like you're figuring it out. Like it's a very weird thing sometimes. Sometimes you could just throw something and you saw it and you can do it, and other times you got to work through it. And I was like ready to stop, and you're just like, you know, like oh you got it, like you're there, and just like hearing that in that moment, I remember being like, oh I do have it. After I was like at a point where I was like, this is impossible. I'm gonna stop because I didn't feel like I could do it. And why am I going to chase something that I'm just going to hurt myself over? And then just hearing that made it possible. And it was like such a subtle thing. And I was like just kind of really impressed by that. And I've been trying to pay more attention to subtle things and make like really little changes. And, you know, I feel like that could be a slippery slope in itself because then like how do you know what to say in the right way? How do you, you know, like you can hyper focus on things in a way that can be detrimental and psychologically, even for that regard. But those little subtle changes, being around people that also do them, it like just raises, it just feels good. And I feel like getting older and having kids, it's like, it can be really hard to just like feel good, like, and be like happy. And maybe that's my personal experience, but like happiness and like a good time, because you know as we get older things are the way that they are, you experience probably a lot of adversity by the time you're 40 if you haven't, and if you haven't by then, you probably will, unless you're like a unicorn that just is a sage. But things are going to come up in life that are going to knock you down. You know what I mean? And I and the reason I'm getting here is like to to be in a place where you feel good about yourself, you have friends around. Like for us, it's obvious. It's like it's easy. There's everyone skates. You just get together. What's the big deal? And I, not being around it for a while, and even like soccer or other things that I participate in, I can see how like being isolated and like not having those outlets or those connections really start to like make those subtleties an impossibility. Like I can't do it. It's not like, and having that person or that group around, I think is really important. And it's become very clear to me, like especially recently, like how important that is, because like nobody tells you like, oh, life can be fucking terrible. Like you don't have a clue how bad things can get for you in subtle ways and incrementally over time. Like, and you'll just be used to that. That'll be your base. And like you won't even notice how unhappy you are, or I am. I don't want to say you. I'm not trying to project or anything. But like when you get the light or like a little bit of something that comes that you can take away from it, it's like a reminder, like, oh wow, like life can be fun, life can be good, life can be happy. And getting older, like sometimes that becomes like hard to see for a lot of people, myself included. And I don't think I'm really necessarily making a point. I'm just trying to express myself openly. So I think like
You're talking about the mind and body adapting and re-equalizing based on the body's current scenario.
yeah,
Psychologically.
I mean having kids, getting married, I mean it's not easy. Like, it seems easy. Like I have the internet. It seems like it's just a blast. But like reality is like life can be very trying and difficult, especially if you don't have like, I don't know, good support structures, good ways of communication. And even if you do, like, I'm not sure it's not supposed to not be. It's a lot of negatives. But like, it feels like the only thing that gives it so much value and the happiness that comes on the other side of it do you only have that much happiness and appreciation because you've experienced so much diversity? Is it a requirement? Is it a balance? Or is it just kind of Thursday?
Is light without darkness?
Oh, yeah, that's a nice way to say it. Well, no, of course. They're the same thing, basically. I don't know. Back it out far enough. You can't have light without darkness, because if you had only light, you'd have nothing to compare it to.
Doesn't make them the same thing. It makes them opposites.
Okay. Yeah. So, no, I think even though it's like food and stuff like that, I think it compounds. Where like I like to feel good, and that's kind of the point of living. Like, why are you gonna live if you can't feel good?
I mean, yeah, but you have to be careful. The application of that is where where the interest, where it becomes interesting. Everybody says they want to feel good.
Right.
How do you do it? And I would suggest that you create your own, like what you're saying is you create your own, well, you're saying your center point of where your equilibrium can change. You have very, very bad objectively and very, very good objectively.
Mm-hmm.
But then from one's own perspective within that, your center point of what is neutral between the two can change based on your cumulative experience, particularly what's happened recently. And so if recently lots of stuff happens that's bad, you move towards the bad. If recently lots of stuff moves towards the good, you move towards the good. But this is kind of like the whole like Anna Lemke thing with like dopamine, like the gremlins, you know. Have you heard this?
No.
Well, you can Google it, but you don't need
No,
to.
I'm not gonna. I want to hear you
I mean,
say
it's
it.
just like the balance. It's about the mind becoming balanced between pleasure and pain. Like your center point, like it, you could everybody wants to feel good. And so some people would say, okay, well then let's just do a bunch of drugs all the time. Right. But you get those, the easy access to the pleasure, which kind of recenters you towards actually pain. In order to get back into the center point, you actually have to put in effort. And I'm not wording it properly, but
No, I like what you're saying.
the whole body works on particularly dopamine. It works on a balance of pleasure and pain, and you can create your own center point based on that. And so some people would say like, well, you can bump your center point up towards pleasure by experiencing the controlled pain of an ice bath. So like a lot of people will be like, why do an ice bath? There's no point. It's not going to make you skinnier. It's not going to make you, whatever. There's a lot of naysayers on it. And I would say the best reason to do it is to center your pain pleasure balance towards the pleasure side. And it's a healthy type of pain that doesn't damage you. And it's also, the more pain you feel, the easier it is to feel pleasure, right?
Well,
Where
yeah,
if you
yeah.
constantly are under pain, the
Right.
smallest pleasurable thing can be nice.
Right.
That's not to say we should all live in pain all the time, but there's controlled ways to experience pain or discomfort or difficulty or challenge. You can control it as
Yeah.
you wish. It's all your choice. Well, that's like
No,
I'm not trying to be political, but
political.
it could be. Some people perceive what I just said as being like, certain political party.
Well, it's kind of like
But yeah, so
Wim Hof,
one of
right?
for me, one of the very best ways to ensure that my morning is easy is to start right at the beginning with something very hard. Controlled, difficult, kind of painful. I do not want to do it every single time that I do it. Not that I don't always take ice baths, but I frequently do. Particularly, like, to be honest, maybe my wife knows this. If I feel like she's kind of generally in a bad mood, like if I kind of expect I feel like I have certain patterns down with her. Like I understand certain patterns.
Yeah.
And if I feel like it's likely going to be a tough morning, I can easily center that to make it. I could be like, no matter what happens with my family life after the taking an ice bath, it's like, dude, that was easy compared to the ice bath. That's where I feel like that has been a hack for me when it comes to like difficulty, particular. Like I would say the most difficult part of my life, the most challenging part, is a psychological part pertaining to family life. That's not to say my family life is bad. I'm not saying that, but it's like it is not easy to stay married with 2 kids. It is very hard. Anybody that says that it's easy, they don't understand the concept of balancing, of a pleasure and pain balance.
Yeah.
I'm a little biased on this, and a lot of people can extrapolate whatever they want and assume whatever they want by me saying this, but I feel like nearly every relationship is just about to end. Every long-term relationship is like right about to, and in order to make it not end, you got to like put in a lot of effort to keep it moving. And so for me, one way to feel like the effort needed that's required is not as difficult is by doing things on purpose that are hard outside of the difficulty of keeping the relationship good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for sure what you said about family psychology and the your personal relationships about how people are understanding and communicating. This is putting into it is probably accurate, right? That's probably where most people's pain comes from. Because if someone on the street tells you you're a fucking idiot, you don't really give a shit, you know? But if, like, you know, your father or your sister is like, Collin, you're a fucking idiot. Sorry, I don't want to say it like that. That was a little aggressive. That was a microaggression.
That hurt.
That's a mic-
I can handle
but you know what I mean? It hurt. It hurts because you have a relationship. Like it doesn't mean anything unless you have like a deep relationship, and it makes me realize that the people we have the deepest relationships with and the deepest connections with, we are way more subtly in tuned and triggered by things that we may or may not be inferring into scenarios because of like a past and triggers and you know, I think it's a good point. Because it's like so many times, like if somebody else said something to me, I was talking with a lady and she was going on about these things that stress her, and I'm just really good at listening and making jokes and, you know, changing it up in that situation. But then, like, if my wife were to do that, I'd be like trying to fix it and like tell her why, you know, like she needs to be different and like how if she looks at it a different way. And I noticed it while I was talking with this lady, and I was like, well, that's probably why my wife loved me in the first place, was because I made all of her hardships lighthearted, and now I make all of her hardships her own problem for being less self-aware than she should be. You know what I mean? But it's like part of my being a man. I don't know, but it's or just like it just happens, and recognizing it is one thing, but then actually being different when the situations arise is totally separate for me. It's like very much separate. Like I still automatically like react in certain ways. And I think it is good to have a lot of outside exposure to like friends, not necessarily to like, oh, this is what happened in my house. Like, this is shitty. Like, not to like complain or vent about things, but just to engage with other people so that you can reflect on how you act. And because it gets hard. I mean, it does. It gets really hard. And how do you, and like, you're always wrong. Like, of course. And even if you're right in a lot of cases, you're wrong because the situation just sucks, you know? And if you can get away from it, you can feel fine, but you know that your partner or whatever is not happy with you, or my partner's not happy with me, or your father, or sister, mother, cousin, whatever the relationship is. I feel like that always kind of like is something that's really important to everybody for the most part. And the people that say it doesn't matter and they don't give a shit and they cut it off, eventually it does come back later on or at a future point, or when someone passes away, where it's like this overwhelming sense of things that were never considered. So how do you keep the balance? Cold baths? What I like to do is I like to fill up a garbage can full of ice, and then I salt it, and I fill it with water.
You do
And then I go under there, and I see if I can hold my breath until I pass out. I just want to feel as much fucking pain as I can.
Wait, are you doing this routinely or just like twice a year?
I have never done this ever.
Okay.
I'm just saying I'm just kind of making a
Is this
joke.
like your story about staring at the sun?
No, I actually used to stare at the sun a lot, and I still like to stare at the sun.
Yeah,
especially in the morning.
Do not, if you're listening to this, do not stare at the sun, even though Jono says he does. Don't do that. You do not want to stare at the sun.
No, I'd really like to do ice baths. I think it's a good thing. You know what I do?
What?
When I get in the shower every morning. You think you're tough. I don't wait for the water to warm up. I go right under that thing and I turn it on and I just let it ice cold.
Yeah.
15, 20 seconds. Beast every day. Sometimes I like to see if I can let it hit my eyeballs. I say, don't blink.
Are you being serious? Honestly, I don't know what to.
Well,
I don't know.
have I done that?
Yeah, eyeballs.
Have I done that
The
in the eyeballs? Yeah,
water in the eyeballs.
I have done that. Yeah, I haven't done
You
that.
just like pain.
I haven't done that for a month straight,
Yeah.
but I've done that. I've done the getting into the cold shower every day. I think that's I would like to do an ice bath, but I'm like, yeah, this is an obligation.
The cold shower is like the alternative that's subpar, mainly because you get like this spotlight of cold on your body that's just sort of like annoying, but you don't get as much adrenaline and like the body buzz rush, like heat sensation when you're done, like a even if it's just cold water bath, you know. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah, I do it in the shower.
Yeah, but in the shower, you like, I feel like the shower helps you build a resilience to being annoyed without as much adrenaline. Like, you know,
Oh,
I
I
mean,
think
for
that's so
another
funny.
reason I try to do cold in the morning is because of the adrenaline release. And the morning is the main time of the day when I feel pain. Like, that's the peak pain still in the morning.
Okay.
I'm working on mitigating it. And the most acute way to remove that pain, like within seconds. So I was saying that blood flow is the most acute way, but that's a little bit like within a few minutes.
Mhm.
You want to reduce the pain immediately. Cold exposure in the morning releases adrenaline, and your pain is immediately gone. Whatever morning aches you have is gone.
What do you use for your ice bath?
It's like a tub outside.
It's not like something you bought. It's just something you.
Yeah, I bought it.
But is it for ice baths?
Yeah. I'm about to get rid of it. Probably just get like a trough thing. Just it'd be easier to clean. It like doesn't keep its shape unless the water's in it. So
I was looking at one. It was like a few grand, which is kind of a lot of money.
yeah,
and
you should buy it and then decide you don't like it. Let me get it.
Yeah, I don't know if I can, but it had like, it looked like a big Yeti with a cooler, like next to it.
Yeah.
And then, no, I would like to try doing that.
I feel like
I got to do it in my bath.
We've talked about ice baths a lot, and I think that people might get the impression that I'm like big on them, and it's like such a small part of my life. It's in and out, you know. I hope. Let me set the record straight.
You're not. It's not a big. The orange glasses are more.
I know they're going to be very apparent on the entire video, even though I just started wearing them.
You're gonna.
It's just for fun. In like a week, I could maybe stop wearing them. Who knows?
So in science museums, they have like this thing where they say stare at the dot, and there's like a parakeet,
right?
And then they like go look at the cage, and then you stare at the dot in the cage, and you see the parakeet in the inverse colors.
Yeah.
Are you afraid that like you're gonna see the inverse color, like you're gonna see blue, if you have that on too long?
Yeah, I mean, what I have noticed is as I've started to get better about controlling the light, well, let's say quality, kind of like you control your food quality, as I've been, just as the same thing that happens when you control food quality and then you go back to eating junk, your body is particularly sensitive to it, the junk. I would fully expect, and I have already experienced significantly, that when I have poor light quality, particularly in the evening or long exposure on a screen, I'm more sensitive. It's because, you build up that resilience, but there's that drawback. There is a drawback to having that resilience. If you're resilient to pizza and you can eat a lot of pizza, there's a reason. It's you built up an insulin resistance,
Can't eat pizza.
But if you're insulin sensitive, you're going to be sensitive to the pizza that you're eating, So you're going to eat it and you're going to get an acute spike and then a crash and you're going to feel like crap. And then you may have other digestive issues, which are different sensitivities,
Yeah.
I'm answering all your questions a little bit more like science-y, I think, than like the way that I don't know, my brain is just, I don't know.
Well,
I don't really know anything about anything science. Don't take any of my words for it. I'm clueless. A lot of stuff I say is wrong too. I should have said that disclaimer at the beginning of this.
Yeah.
Google, fact check everything I say because all of it can be wrong or real.
No, I think a lot of stuff you said is on point. But so I got to get an ice bath going because I think the main thing in the tub, I want to try it. I think everyone should try it at least once. I've always wanted to, and I haven't been able to.
You haven't ever done an ice bath
No,
at all?
At all.
Really?
Really.
You're talking all this ice bath, your eyeballs.
So
like,
I went to.
Are you kidding me?
I went to.
What are you?
I went to like a bath.
You've never done any cold. You've gotten into cold water before in like a lake,
of course,
in a river. Have
right,
you
but
done a cold river?
I've done cold water.
Cold river. That's the hard. The hardest is mountain stream river. That is
What do you mean,
worst.
Like in Colorado, you get in the
fast moving water from mountain runoff.
Fast moving?
Or whatever. Any amount of movement in the water for mountain runoff is like very hard.
Well, probably, right? It just pulls the heat out of you because it's moving.
Well, it's because you don't have any time to warm up the molecule of water right around you. So if you get in like a still ice bath, you notice after like 30 seconds, you're like, oh, you don't move. It's not as awful.
Yeah, I want to do it because I'm sure like it's got to suppress your breathing. It's got to put you into like a state of awareness.
Yeah.
Probably hard to think. Well, that's the whole Wim Hof.
I haven't really looked into anything Wim Hof. I know he's like a big deal in the whole ice thing, but I'm not like, again.
I'll tell you the
I'm not
motivation
super
behind
into
him,
it.
his whole thing.
Yeah.
The motivation was that he's a widowed man and had a lot of pain, and it was the only thing that helped him escape the pain were those moments. So a lot of what you're saying about going through the pain to be able to put up with life, let's say more or less, was his like driving force.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's affected a lot of people. I'm sure there's a lot of science behind cold plunges being the best thing. Polar Bear Club?
No, again, this is like super. This is not.
So this is why I had you
level foundational.
This is why I had you on here because I know you're a big cold plunge dude.
Stop. Yeah, I kind of want to like change the subject from that because I don't know. It's not. It's like fleeting for me.
Yeah. So what's your main focus now, outside of the orange glasses? You feeling good? You got no headaches, or you have headaches?
Yeah,
they're just.
I'm working on right now. I'm wanting to eliminate more EMFs. I know it sounds crazy, but look, it's my life. I can try. To eliminate more EMFs. Look, I got my cell phone near me. Get away. My focus right now. I'm very excited that my headaches have reduced so much, and now it's sort of like the sky's the limit for me. My systemic nerve hypersensitivity is significantly down, so I feel like, man, I can really lean into working out more now, skating more now. I don't want to jump too fast into it because I was already having I like tweaked my back recently. It's like annoying.
Yeah.
But my focus is like just do better. I need to do better, even better with my job. I want to get much better at that. I have a list of of goals in my office that I have on like these pull down notes. So like I'm right at the end of finishing a Chopin song on the piano. I had been working on it it's like way above my ability level, and I've been working on it for a year and a half, and I just finished like the last phrase of it. I have it, and I now need to just run through the entirety of the song, I don't know, dozens and dozens of times until I feel like I can really do it very well.
Ooh, I like that.
Op 72 number 1, I think. I should know which one it is, but
Op 72 number 1.
Opus 72 number 1 Chopin Nocturne. Yeah. I've been perceiving the song as sort of being like the audio track to my experience of pain. If you listen to the song, you got to do Chopin, Chopin. There you go. Yeah.
Chopin?
Op 72, you did 71. Oh, I don't know. You don't need to be playing it, but the song kind of bounces in and out of like major and minor, and it's one of the most. This is to me the most romantic song I've ever heard. This is so romantic to me. It's so realistic. I don't know how to describe it. It's so life realistic. If you listen to as it changes, it navigates in and out of like joy and pain. If you continue through it, it's just I don't know. I'm still
I don't know if I'm
absolutely obsessed with that song.
I don't know legally what I'm allowed and not allowed to play of other people's things.
Chopin, you can play it all you want.
I know, but it's
Chopin.
not. I got his video up, but no, I'm gonna play it at home.
Yeah,
I really like that too.
it's a really beautiful song. So yeah, there's a lot. If to me, when I hear it, there's like so many metaphors that and like there's a lot of symmetry in it, but at the same time, it's like very unbalanced. Like you wonder the whole time, is the song sad or happy? Like I can't tell, which is like for me a great metaphor for life.
Yeah.
Is life sad or happy? Like, is this whole thing? Because this whole thing is messed up, dude. But I can't believe I get to live here on Earth at the same time. And it's like, but this place is awful. But wait a minute. The design for the whole thing is absolutely perfect. Like, it couldn't have been any better. There's no way, no matter if you think the little tiny bits in the body, there's something that shouldn't have ever been there. It's like, I mean, it seems like those things are becoming fewer and fewer as we learn more.
Yeah.
The thing I'm most interested in right now is what we don't know. I would say that's been like my general, like where my brain, it goes there in skating. It goes there in almost every aspect of my life. Like I love the fringe of truth and fiction where I stand on truth, but I like dip my toes out to maybe not fiction, but like what could be,
Yeah.
just a little like, that's not really like fact and fiction is not what I mean. I think known and unknown is where, like, because that border can shift, and I truly like what really motivates me on any given day is right at what is either possible or not, or like could be true maybe, but is not quite proven kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what I love. I love that. And for me, like, that's how I design my skating too,
Around that.
I definitely design it's because that's how I think. That's how I've just, in my nature, the way I think is right at that fringe of truth.
So it's like the fringe of truth and untruth. It's also kind of like the fringe of possible and impossible. But the fringe of truth and untruth, that is creativity, right? I mean, that's like the most creative part. Because if it's truth, it's already there. It's created. There's not creativity in it. There's, let's say, existence. And then untruth is yet to have existed. So you like doing new things that have not yet been done.
Kind of. But for me, creativity is like centered on play. Like that's by definition, creativity is intrinsically tied with play. And like, is there truth when we see our kids playing? Like there's truth in it, and there's not quite true in it too, I guess. Yeah. But I think a lot about creativity, but that could be like a whole other 2 hour, what are we at, an hour and 47 minutes? That's crazy.
That's what
that could be like an entirely other, I don't know if we could Yeah, I am.
Well, I want to hear
I'm
this show,
obsessed
Pan.
I'm obsessed with creativity too, like what it means,
Yeah.
like how to access it, and
Where it comes from.
what it really is. Even interesting to.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's leave it there. Let's leave people wondering about creativity.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, thanks for having me here.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. Spending the day with you was nice.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Thank you everyone for watching. See you soon.